I hope you saw The Onion Field, and I hope you saw Black Marbles, because this is the guy who directed those. His name is Harold Becker, and I was just watching sneak previews the other night, and Gene Siskel said that Onion Field was one of the best films of the decade, but it was not a success at the box office. Can you explain that with your prize, your jewel?
Well, it was a success at the box office. It just was a very minor success. The film actually did make its money back, as well as a small profit, which, considering how little it cost, didn't amount to that much of a success. We were all disappointed, but basically I had a feeling, it's my conviction, that it had to do with the fact that it was poorly distributed. And I felt in the hands of a stronger distributor, with a small independent distributor, with a stronger distributor, someone who had more confidence and more money to spend, we might have been able to push that film further, no doubt about it. And
isn't it funny when you do have a little jewel that you still are so dependent upon other people to merchandise it and distribute it correctly? It's whether it's going to be a success.
Well, we can go one step further, and that is that I've always loved the next one I did, Black Marble, which didn't even have that kind of success, which was literally buried. I've had so many critics come in here and say how much they enjoyed Black Marble and the fact that nobody saw it. So that was pretty...
So wait a minute, you have to translate for Nebraska. Did you say "sar"?
Saw.
Saw. Ah, very good.
I have to translate for the whole world. My
Okay.
English isn't the best. Right.
He's got a new movie out, and it is a very special movie of which I'm very happy to announce. It's called Taps. And it's the story of George C. Scott and Timothy Hutton and the takeover of a boys' military academy. You deal a lot with children. You're interested in children. Why?
Well, in this particular story, I don't know if I'd say I'm more interested in children, but there is something pure about children of that age in their idealism, their romanticism, in their belief in the world. And when it's corrupted by abstractions, in other words, they're still at an age where they're not questioning necessarily. They're questioning outside values, but they're easily led. And that can be a terrifying thing. And I think we're seeing it today with cults, the Moonies, people like that. And the terrible part of it is that they attract some of the best of our young people, because these are young people who have had a reaction to that world out there and find in these things solutions to it. Easy solutions, so to speak.
Why do you think people send their children to a military academy?
Well, for a myriad of reasons. I do think one of the reasons people send children to military academies is for discipline. And because they're the old verities of the strictness, which is the tenet of a military academy, the discipline of a military academy, the lack of distraction, etc., etc. I also think there are people who send them there because they have some vaunted idea of military life, and it's being an elevating thing. And I don't know if they necessarily examine what its pernicious qualities can be. Not necessarily for all boys, but it can be for many boys. One of the reasons I have that parade at the beginning of the film is because it is one of the most seductive things in terms of attracting young people to a place like this, and also in their parents and seeing these parades. They have those parades every Sunday at this military academy we shot at. And when you hear that music, it's a stirring march.
I know it is.
And it does get people to run
captured
out
it.
into the street.
And he captured it so well that he repeats it at the end of the film, the same footage,
Right.
and you're just, well, I know how I get with parades. I know some people don't. Some people are perhaps more cynical than I. But I marched in the band. I know what it's like. And when I see the Olympians out there marching, I'm just so overcome by all of the pageantry.
Absolutely. And these are the things that are attractive and seductive about these places. And what's, of course, pernicious about them is what closed societies they are, and they close young people's minds. The young people at the military academy we worked at actually viewed the outside world as civilians, and in a sense saw themselves in a superior kind of a society. They also built up enormous fraternal relationships with each other. By that I mean they really have a camaraderie amongst themselves. So some of it's very positive. It's what's negative that has to concern us, see. And I try to tell a story which has a balance to it, which doesn't say this is black and this is white in a thing. And I don't think it's just a story about military. It is a story about anybody who's brought up not to question.
How do you take kids who can't act and get them to act?
Well, I think they can act. You see, they may not have acted before, but They were all very talented young people. Now our principals, meaning that small cadre of people who did the main work in the film, were actors. By actors, that doesn't mean they necessarily were in front of a camera. They had been going to acting school, but they were in some way or another talented. And so we brought those together, and then we actually drew people who had never acted into this film, and sometimes they were just naturals.
Well, but that's the marvelous thing, you know, about a film. It's artificial. You're working with a script. That's artificial. How do you bring all that and make it real?
Well,
Make it real.
Well, you start living within that world, and after a while, that world becomes reality. One of the things, of course, that made it very real is we were in a real military academy. And we spent 4 weeks training. We put these boys right into military school. They were drilling, they were learning command, all of these things. They were wearing the uniform. After a while, this becomes real. They were taken away from those. They didn't go home at night. They went to a hotel where they lived. You see, so they were outside of their families and everything. This became their life and their family, and it does take on its own reality.
Harold is a very important still photographer also, and you'll be able to capture that in the film because you see it as if the camera had just clicked at that precise moment and you can see it. You should be very proud of your film.
Thank you very much.
It's an excellent film.
Oh, I really appreciate
It's
that.
called Taps, and I'm sure everybody in Nebraska is going to want to see it. Harold Becker, thank you so much. It's really been a
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
And we'll be back in the show right after this word.